My name is Carrie Dorsky. I'm the coordinator at the NWTC Artisan and Business Center, and this is our monthly speaker series that we call an artist journey. So we do these from September to May each year, and we do them on the third Tuesday of each month. And I usually choose three artists, three organizations that serve artists, and three business topics. So tonight I am joined with Sally from Ampersand Supply Company in Sheboygan. I'm very excited to have Sally here. So I consider Sally's business serving artists and how we can kind of collaborate. I want to spin off on just a second because I
Yeah.
mentioned that we do these virtually in a meeting format on the third Tuesday. But I'm going to let everybody know we are moving towards more of a podcast format. So we have found that as is happening right now, Sally and I are here alone. So um,
And Mike
artists,
might show up in a little while. I think
also,
he might, but
yeah,
yeah, he's down in
but
Indianapolis right now. It is 9 to 5.
yeah,
So yeah,
nice,
but he's gonna try and pop in, I think.
perfect. Well, we
Yeah.
noticed that artists usually consume this content when it works best for them. So that's what we're going to do too. And I'm sorry, my emails are blowing up right now. Do you hear all that dinging?
Yeah.
Okay, Sally, why don't you introduce yourself for us?
Well, hello, my name is Sally Carson. I am one of the owners at Ampersand Supply Co. It's my husband and I. We employ two other people. We have my son that does the framing, and we employ another person that does some framing in between when we get a little bit too busy, because Thomas has been helping me around the shop too, a little bit manager, kind of trying to move him into some other things, but he really likes the framing, so it's kind of hard for him to want to do the other things. But yeah, we have art supplies. We have 3D printing capabilities. We have framing. We have a CNC. We have a laser cutter. There's a lot of different things we can do when we open. The word ampersand is the technical term for that and symbol. So Mike and I were trying to figure out a name, and we're sitting there going, okay, well, what? And I said, well, it's for makers and artists and I went, oh, this might be a little too cheesy, Mike, but what do you think? And he's like, no, that's perfect. So that's how we came up with that. I personally do some letterpress at my studio at home when I get a chance, which has not been often lately, but that's how it goes, right? And then Mike he's a ceramist, so he does pottery, he does ceramic engineer, so he knows a lot about glaze formulation and clay bodies and all of that stuff, and I can help with like your printmaking and things like that. So and we both have a bachelor's in fine arts, so we both have taken all the studio classes and things. So there's some background there that helps us when people come in. And we know a lot of artists, so when we don't know a thing, we know who we can get a hold of. So that's kind of nice. It's a good community to be in.
That's what
So
we always tell everybody is it matters who you know and who you build relationships with because that's how things get done and that's how
yeah.
opportunities happen, right?
Yeah, well, and that's kind of how we kind of fell into the shop. Was the we our original, probably 8 or 9 years ago, we thought that we would open a co-op. I've been helping out with Local Yokel here in Sheboygan. It's a once a year, just a little craft fair. It's about 30. Right now we're up to between 30 and 40 vendors. So what we do is, yeah, it's just vendors from the community, and so we thought we would start a co-op similar to where we grew up in Ithaca, New York. There's a Ithaca Artist Co-op, and it's a wonderful organization. It's very established. It's 2 stories of just wonderful artwork. Um, but so the building that we're in now, we looked at when Cindy bought, and she got in before we did. So we were just like, well, it just doesn't need to happen now. So when she was ready to retire, she came back around to us and said, you know, I know you guys were looking at the building. I'd really like to keep the art supplies going, and you guys are so helpful all the time with people, and you know a lot of things. Would you be interested in keeping it going? So that's where we were at. So
And
we
that it
talked
used to be
about it.
called was it Lakeshore?
Lakeshore Lakeshore Art Supply and Framing. Yep. And then then we did, like I'd said, we wanted to kind of include more of the maker side to it too.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
why the name change
Very
to include some more things. So
When
yeah.
did you guys start your business?
September of 2023. Is that a year and a half? Year and a half, 2022?
22. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, 22. So it's been about a year and a half. So yeah.
That's
It's been
awesome.
good.
Yeah. So you sell a little bit of everything?
Yeah. Yep. I can walk you around real quick
Yeah,
if you want.
go for it.
Yeah. So
Give everybody a good preview if they haven't made the drive there yet.
yeah. And I mean, there are enough places around. If you make the drive, it's we
Yeah,
can
it's
tell you
worth
where to
it.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that's what
So
we did as a team last summer when we came down to see you on our team field trip was we made a stop at the Kohler and we went out for lunch, stopped to see Sally and buy a few art supplies.
wonderful folks. This whole 8th Street, like this uptown Sheboygan, we're really trying to work on establishing the small businesses in the area. So there's a lot of really great businesses
That's
down here.
awesome.
But yeah, so we have a little bit of a preview here. So there's some markers, some Tombows, Copics. I don't have a huge selection of some things. We're building and filling in gaps in certain places. Some gel pens, some inks, and then we go to like Prismacolors, pencils, notebooks, some more of that. I love all the Caran d'Ache stuff. I don't know if anybody's ever used the wax crayons. They're wonderful. Hi, Mike.
You talked me
And
into
then,
taking a few home with me when I was there in the summer, and I
did you
love
love
them.
them?
Yeah, I
Yes.
absolutely love them.
And that's the thing. People are skeptical when they first get them, and
Yep.
then they start using them, and then they get hooked. I
Yeah.
had a friend from the Wood Type Museum who came and got a few, and then the next visit she got the rest.
Yep.
Like I think she has every color now.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so like we have some pastels in this section too, and then drawing things, all the things you need for that, charcoal and Conte crayons, things like that, and then some more of the printmaking things. Let's walk a little faster through here. We do have little kits for people who come in and they're like, I want to support you guys, but I really don't know what to get or where to start. So we have a lot of beginner. We've got some classes in a box, like a drawing class and a watercolor class in a box that you can go home and just on a YouTube video, and it's great. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and then all your brushes, all your golden open, golden heavy body, golden fluids down here. We haven't gotten to the next thing that I think we're probably going to add is probably the matte, the So Flat. So that's going to be on our agenda to add. We've got plenty of brushes. We've added. So this is one of my projects today. I was redoing this area.
Oh,
So
cool.
we've got our rattle cans and different tips for that. Lots of single sheets of paper over here. And then, yeah, it's all backwards. And then pinstriping. If you're into pinstriping, canvas. Again, like kits. So we have sneaker painting kits, things like that. Again, brushes, palette knives, watercolor and gouache. So we just got a Daniel Smith
Nice.
display for the gouache. More brushes, more watercolors. Some supply of the alcohol inks. I'd like to get a little bit more comfortable with those and see how I would use them so that I can explain to people a little bit better about them. A lot of paper selections. And then
I was gonna say, did I see ceramic stuff?
all the ceramic stuff. So maybe even two, since you've been in last, we've got a lot of Dirty Girl tools now.
Cool. Yep.
So that's wonderful. We've added some more to the glazes. We have some under glazes. We've got cones. We have 4 different types of clay right now. Oh,
Nice.
5? Do we have 5? I think 5. So we have all these that we have in the back. So if anybody needs from 06 to cone 10, correct, Mike?
That is correct. All by Kentucky Mudworks. It
Cool.
is made by Link down there in Kentucky Clay. And she is one of the few people out there making actual vitreous clay, meaning it's fully, it will not absorb water, made for functional wear in the East Coast. A lot of the clays you'll buy, Continental and others, they leave a little absorption, and that can cause your glazes to craze. So we want to make sure people have a good experience with all the Amico glazes, and Link's clays seem to pair really well with them. So
yeah,
That's awesome. We constantly hear up here by us that there's nowhere in town for potters to actually look at pottery supplies. So it's nice to know that there's somewhere they can go to talk to people and touch the tools and get a feel for them.
well, and I mean, Mike's been doing this for 25, 30 years now. It seems right. Yeah, I know it seems like that can't be right, but it is.
Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background?
yeah, sure. So I'm Sally's husband, partner, and help run Ampersand when I'm not cruising around the country trying to promote ceramics for and other things for the other company that I work for, which is American Art Clay. And yeah, I help make all the glazes and clays here at Amico. And so that's why when I say they pair really well, I've tested a lot of stuff, guys. And this has been by far the nicest pairing that I've found. So when we bring in Dirty Girls tools, they're pretty nice quality. My background, sorry to get back to that, is mostly, as you can probably tell, in clay. I started off in ceramic fine arts. I went to the University of Delaware and have my BFA in ceramics. And then I got out of school, and I don't know if folks remember in 2000 when the market crashed and nobody had jobs and everything. I was pedaling around looking for any kind of job I could get, and ended up working as a sort of a pseudo ceramic engineer for a company called Mackenzie Childs in upstate New York, which is where I first met Sally. She and I worked there together in different departments, and we ended up dating and then getting married. And soon thereafter, our family started growing and realized that we needed to be able to pay bills. And so I started looking around for someplace else to get more education, because solving the problems of ceramics seems to pay a lot better than the pottery side does. Hate to tell anybody, but people love hearing the salacious rumors that the old rumors of ceramics aren't true, and you can totally disprove all of it. And depending on the test, you're right. You can prove and disprove everything in clay. So I ended up after that, we found a job at Kohler Company, which is what brought us to Wisconsin. And about 10, 15 years later, we ended up acquiring Ampersand Supply Company. I was getting ready to go back to grad school and working at Amico, and this opportunity all came up at the same time. So we're trying to get through and make it work. And the pandemic happened too, by the way. So that at the end of all that, we now own an art supply, and I work for Amico and doing grad school and just about to get out of that. So.
Oh, that's a lot.
So yeah, in case you couldn't tell, I'm really passionate about the clay community. I love supporting potters and what they do. Want to see everybody be successful, and want to dispel as much as I can any of the old rumors that are out there about clay, and how to fire it, how to treat it properly, and what makes a good functional clay body, and how to make pottery that people will enjoy for generations. So that's one of the things I do. And then along that way, we got into the 3D printing side, and the milling, and the CAD design and all of the other things to support the habit of clay. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
and that's
that. And I'm sorry, I totally find that the artists that I work with around here are all kind of multi-passionate, right?
yeah,
You know, it's like one thing leads to another, and we all take on a bunch of things.
Yep, and I
yeah,
know
totally.
when we started 3D printing, Mike was like, "Oh, I can make blocks for you on the 3D printer," and you can. They don't work perfectly, but it's not bad. But then he's like, "Oh, well, maybe I can make a mold for my jigger, or I can." So he's done a lot. Like, and that's the thing when we see the maker side and the artist side overlap. There's a lot of that, yeah, and so it's really something that we really want to be able to foster in people and help them figure out how to get to that next place, because usually it's just they have an idea and it's just the execution of idea, right? It's just the how are we going to get from A to B.
Yep.
And we've done it for so many years that sometimes it's, just use us,
Yeah.
use our knowledge
Yep.
and what we are doing to get to where you need to be. So yeah.
Exactly. We often say around here, we know that the art making process can be isolating, and sometimes all you need is a network of people, or to have a conversation with somebody who has some experience or knows somebody who has some experience. And that kind of community aspect of art making can really help solve problems.
Yep, and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So, you only the more you talk to people, the more you find out, oh, that's an
Yeah.
option. So,
Yep.
yeah,
Can you show that little clay stamp that you had earlier
sure.
that you guys
Okay,
3D printed?
so yep, I was showing this. So there's this Mike made this out of resin. So we have two 3D printers. We have a 3D printer that does it's the filament printer, the FDM printer, and then this resin printer. The resin printer is for more detailed stuff. So we can get really detailed work.
That's awesome.
And I mean, this is poster putty. It's
Yeah.
not clay. So
Right.
it does it's not, it's yeah. Yeah. But then you can get even like the minis, like on the resin machine.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people who come in and do that.
I know a lot of people that paint those. Yep.
Yep, yep. And then even the prototyping. So I had a friend that's been doing a lot of printmaking lately, and he came in over the weekend and he said, I just need a like a registration gauge thing. So we've been going over different ways of modeling up the
Yep.
registration gauges for his screen printing. So we'll have those available. And every time we develop a different thing, like we have the graphic panel layouts, we have some watercolor tin inserts that we've 3D printed.
Cool.
We are going to have these. And so we develop these products that are needed in the community and we put them out there for sale for people. So, yeah.
And people just come
Even,
talk to you, and that's how it happens.
Yeah.
yep, pretty
That's,
I
much.
love that.
And
Yeah.
within 10 minutes, we've got some kind of model worked up for them that's
yeah.
concept I'm thinking of. And then we of course then go forward to refine it. But a lot of times it can start, I think both Sally and I get out the CAD program anymore more than the pencil and just
Yeah.
start sketching
Yep.
in live mode, because why do the work twice? So,
Yeah.
even bucket heads for potter's wheels, or I've got a bat. I had a friend of mine here wanted a trimming, a necked bottle trimming tool, and the Giffen grip just wasn't doing it for them. So
Yep.
you can create these cylindrical shapes that button into. Now that's a product out there. I noticed somebody selling something like that. But I've helped him draft up programs and machine pads for. He's selling catchers for anybody looking for glaze catchers for the crystalline glazes. He's 3D printing those and selling them. Pads for flow blocks. The little things that tell you how much a glaze flows. It's amazing what you can do with a 3D printer in some time. I mean, I have, hopefully it doesn't fuzz it out on you guys, but little prototype molds. These are case molds that I can then pour plaster in, and they snap right together. There's no
Yep.
gap, there's no seam, and I was even able to use a couple different scrap pieces
Yep.
of filament. So yeah, we can get pretty quick at turnaround. I think those were printed in about 6 hours. So
Oh.
it's not a bad turnaround.
And that's a pretty large piece
Yeah.
for the types of printers that we have are very quick. So we have probably one of the fastest printers on the market right now, correct, Mike? That you can get for a
That
personal
you
type.
don't have to build yourself, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Right. Yep. And we also, like, if anybody has a printer and they're having problems, we've had plenty of people come in and say, you know, I have this problem. I had a couple come in and they said, yep, their son's been printing since November. I don't know what's wrong. I think we need a new plate because his prints aren't sticking. I said, well, have you cleaned it off with alcohol yet? And they went, nope. And they went home and they cleaned it off with alcohol and now they're good to go. You know, it's just, it's one of those little things. We've been doing that for 10 years
Yeah.
now. And so it's use our knowledge, use what we
Absolutely.
know, and don't make the same mistakes we've made. We can
Right.
tell you everything that we've done that hasn't worked, and then you can go from there.
Well,
You
and
don't
I
have
love,
to, but
sorry
you
to
know,
interrupt you. I
fine.
love that combination of technology and how you can make things easier, especially in the ceramics world. I feel like I run into so many potters that are kind of traditionalist or purists, right? And they want to do it like old school. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that 3D printed stamp is so cool. We require everybody here have to have an artist mark on the bottom of their piece. We have so many people moving through here that would make their lives a lot easier if they weren't kind of drawing on the bottom each time.
Yep. And all it takes is if they draw their mark on a
Yeah.
piece of paper with a Sharpie, we
Yep.
can scan it in and modify it and create your stamp. So it's easy. It really is.
That's cool. And I kind of run our business programming and our residency program. So I talk to people a lot about marketing and branding and that kind of consistency. And
Mhm.
that's just part of that like fit and finish, that polish of making your piece look really professional and expensive is having that kind of consistent, clean, easy to read. They know exactly who they got it from, so they know when they need more, who to go back to, that
Yes,
kind
yeah.
of stuff.
Even a custom rib. I know Dirty Girls
Yeah.
and the rest will give good textures, but
Yep.
sometimes it's just not enough. You got to have your own custom profile
Yeah.
that you're looking for. And
Yep.
yeah, you can cut it out of a credit card and file it, but another option is to mill it or to
Yep.
laser it or to print it. And we have the tools and we have, as Sally said, we have some of the knowledge and we're happy to share what we have. We do charge enough to keep the machines running, but we're not really, when we're talking about some of these, a 6-hour print can run you maybe, $60. It's not going to break your bank. It's
Yep.
not what we're here for. We don't believe in that. We want
Well,
to place, but we don't want to gouge people either.
and a lot of times people come in and they are approaching a project, and especially in the past few weeks, I don't know, they've come in and they've talked to me about how to do a mural or do this or do that. And I was like, well, actually just save yourself some money and do this. And I always tell them, I'm like, I know that I probably just lost a sale of a bunch of paint that but that means you can buy the nice brushes now.
Yep.
That means you can upgrade. You can do the next best thing. And that's the thing. Like, we know that a lot of creation is finding the right mediums, the right tools, because everybody is a little different and you're going to use those materials just the way you want, right? So it's a lot of finding and helping you find the thing that you need to finish what you're starting. Yep.
And I'll go off on a tangent about small businesses, right? But for everybody who watches this recording and who's here with us live, this is why it's so important to have small businesses, right? Because you guys have the experience and the knowledge, and you care about your community and you care about sharing that knowledge. That's not always the case if I were to walk into a big box store. I'm usually on my own, right? Or I'm
Yep.
Googling away trying to find the information I need. And I shared with Sally when we were doing our tech check for this that I live close to Sturgeon Bay, so I often end up at Artist Guild because it's the closest art supply store to me. But there's not one in Green Bay anymore. anymore. And so I'm so glad that you guys are nearby-ish and that you both are artists and have that background and have that care for your community, because that's how we help each other.
Yep.
Is when artists need help, where do they go? Well,
Yep.
in Green Bay, there's not an art supply store to go to. So hopefully people know that you guys exist, and
Yeah.
that they can come
Getting it.
brainstorm with you. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people walk in and they're like, oh, well, we hear it a lot. You
yep,
would be surprised how many people come in and say, well, I'm just going to go to Hobby Lobby for that because it's cheaper,
yep,
which is fine.
yep,
Sometimes I understand it.
yep,
But being a small business, we don't get the same discounts that
right.
the bigger box stores get. So it's hard. And so every time a customer walks through the door, it means so much to us because it means they're choosing to spend their money here and they're
Yep,
choosing to maybe pay an extra dollar or two,
yep,
but it means the world. It really, really does because that's the thing. These small shops that have the experience and that aren't employing 15, 16-year-olds that are just there to stock the
exactly.
shelves and they have no clue.
Yep,
And when you ask them where something is, they can tell you that,
yep,
and they might be able to talk to you about your project, but past that, they don't have just the life experience. And it's nothing
yep,
against them. It's just right.
yeah,
Sometimes you just need a little bit more, which is, and hopefully like the other thing is we have a huge community.
yeah,
So and everybody is, I mean, it's Midwest nice, right?
yep.
So yeah.
Well, and I can feel your passion ever since our paths kind of crossed. And I know I wasn't here when you guys toured our building, but
Yep.
I constantly heard like, you have to meet Sally and Mike. You have to meet them. So, when you have that kind of reputation, I think that makes all the difference in the world. Like that to me is like, oh gosh, these people are really serving the artist community in a way that not a lot of businesses are.
Well, and I don't even think we think about it really.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's
thoughtful,
just like
like
who
it's
you
not a,
are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, honestly, if we could give everything away for free, we probably would, but that doesn't help. Like we don't live in that
Yep.
society. So yeah.
No.
Yeah, I
Um,
think we get the guilt of not being out there enough for everybody.
Yeah.
And so, we're stuck in
yes.
our shop now and we can't go to the events that we used to go to all the time. And we can't do we can't be there for our friends that are doing openings or things
Yep.
as much because, you gotta be there to work.
Yep.
Well,
Somebody's
and
gonna,
when work is done, you're spent and you need to go
Yep.
home and take care of the kids or,
Yep.
right,
it's
right,
or finish your
Absolutely.
grad degree,
Yeah.
thesis
right,
paper, you
Yeah.
know.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a,
It's
it's
a
a
balance.
mix.
Yeah.
But as Sally said, yeah, there's nothing more gratifying than having those folks walk through the door and choose to invest their money in our company. And I say invest as opposed to just shopping because I mean it is an investment in a family, it's an investment in a community support network. If nothing else, we can provide something that we've got two tables that are always available. It almost always available, I should say, not always, but almost always available. And if people want to go to Paradigm and grab a coffee or a tea or a drink and come on down and sit and shoot the breeze for the afternoon or work on their make a button or talk about a new community project or just sit and work quietly. It's all available for you, in the guise of what we can provide. So we're happy to be there for those. Sometimes it's just a teenager. Sometimes it's the parents looking for a break. We have parents that come in and their kids make 60 or so little buttons and carry them out or magnets in an
That's
afternoon.
that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
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 They're like shoving buttons in their pockets as they're walking out. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's the cutest
So
thing.
What an amazing resource. And that's the part I can't get over is I feel like uh, I don't know if you guys knew Trade Winds in Green Bay. That was the art supply store that was here when I was in college. And Lori, who worked there, always put together all of our kits for our college classes. And she did all the framing and she was always there to like brainstorm and ask us what we had going on here. And I'm feeling very nostalgic talking to you guys right now because I really miss having that and having that support as an artist, or, you're working on a project and you need, like when I was by you, I grabbed one Posca pen because I needed it in one certain color. And so you run to the store in the middle of a project and you end up talking to another artist and you're excited about your project, and you get that little bit of feedback and support and cheerleading. And I don't think artists get that enough. We hear it here that they come here for that, like, support or to get out of their own heads. And it's cool that you guys can offer that in that way in Sheboygan.
Yeah, and you need a hub, right? I mean, everybody, after a while, it becomes more than just a hub, right?
Yep.
Because when people come in, we will tell them, like, they'll say, oh, yeah, but I don't know where to fire. And the first thing I say is, how far do you want to drive?
Yep.
You can go to Green Bay. They have a
Yep.
great facility there. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Or, I was telling you, I think earlier about the customer that came in and said, I'm just not comfortable with my website. I said, well, guess what? Their next um
Artist
meeting
journey. Yep. Yep.
is artist journey is on portfolios. So you should really take advantage of that.
Yeah. It's
So
free.
it's
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And we hand out art doses as everybody's
Yeah.
coming in the door. There's
Yep.
teachers will hang their class schedules up in here. We do
Yep.
teach classes, but we don't mind when other teachers, other art,
Yep.
because it's all a thing. And it's funny. So in Sheboygan, there's us and there's Hello Happiness. And Kim's a great resource as well. She is an amazing human, but she's limited what people donate. So if you go there and you don't find everything, then you come to us and you fill in those gaps. So it's a kind of a nice cohesive relationship that works, it's pretty wonderful. And she's just a sweet person anyway.
I think we had a dream, and when we first opened too, that we, like as Sally said, a hub for artists. I had a dream in my head of almost like an artist personals, and I don't mean that in a relationship standpoint, but I mean people looking for collaborations. Like, I'm working on this project, seeking somebody with like-minded skills or something like
Yep.
that to help come together to get this project done, or looking for somebody to partner on a grant, or looking for that type of thing posted in our shop. And being able to help supply those people with that type of the products that support that. And we do get that in a way. It's not fully formed. That idea has not fully formed and manifested itself, but it is something that boy, it would be great if it was we were one of many in Wisconsin and in the Midwest, kind of looking around for, trying to look out for the artists that are in our care.
Sure.
When you have people come in, you want them to be happy, you want them to be successful just as much. It's just as much about the folks that are coming in your door as it is about your shop being successful.
Yep.
So.
It's same here. So we get a lot of, I don't know, I want to say off the wall or kind of weird phone calls, right? Because people are like, who do I call that knows how to do this? And our recent one was somebody had bought a vintage lamp that needed to be rewired, and they were wondering if anybody here did that. And I'm like, no, but I know there's somebody in De Pere that does that. Like we put people together, right?
Yep, absolutely.
I feel like I do that a lot around here. I'm like, oh, have you seen what so-and-so was working on? You guys should talk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we definitely have the friend network and artist friend network where it's exactly that. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I know somebody making lamps right now. That would be a great person to talk to.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
right. That's right. That's funny. Yep.
And that's what goes through my head when I feel like oftentimes I'm just a giant sponge, and now I'm like, okay, now I know more about Sally and Mike. So if I hear anybody having issues,
Yeah, send them our way. We love being. It doesn't matter how busy anybody gets. We're always ready to put down whatever we're doing and talk through. When people need the help,
other things can get done later. It's people. I think people a lot walk in and I don't want to take up too much of your time, and they have a little bit of guilt.
Yeah.
Because artists are feeling people, man. They feel real deep. So yeah, they don't want to take up anybody's time. They don't want to. No. But that's what we're here. That's how we find out more. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's how you figure out how you can help them, or you can find somebody that can help them.
Yep.
That whole kind of like people first attitude. I preach that all the time around here. I'm like, we're human
Yeah.
beings.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yep.
it all kind of comes back around, you know? Um,
Yeah.
Erin Labonte out of Algoma was doing a presentation here last fall, and she was talking about her mural projects. And she does these big, beautiful murals all up and down the lake shore. And she said, you know, she sometimes will do some for a little less money because she cares about the mission and the community. And she said, every single time it comes back around,
Yep.
every single time. Either
Yep.
it leads to more jobs, it leads to more experiences, it leads to more money, whatever it is, she's doing what, you know, she's called to do and her passion, and it comes back around. And
Mhm.
that's kind of sounds like your business model.
Yeah.
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 Well, and I think we try to figure out like who our customers are, but
Yeah.
it's really hard to put a finger on that because
Yeah.
it is a range of people. It is younger people, it is older people who know where they spend their money is important.
Yep.
So it is a very big range. It is the guy that has a wood shop that needed just a part for his vacuum cleaner. Like it's really weird sometimes. But yeah,
I
that's
love that.
exactly what it is,
Yeah.
you know. And we don't we have a really hard time putting a finger on who our target audience is. Yep.
That probably touches a little bit of everybody.
Yep.
With
You know, and
the
I
stuff set up, I think, yeah, like the 3D printing thing, like Sally said, it could be somebody. My Campbell Housefeld trigger broke on my machine on my
That's
pneumatic stapler. Can
that
you help me?
that one,
You know,
yeah. Yep. It's
it's
just
yeah.
it's
I think about like myself as a consumer, and when I pop in to get something, I'm usually popping in to get like a tube of paint, right? Like
sure.
I'm like, I know I need this exact specific color, and I just need one thing. And then I
Yep.
end up grabbing other things. But, you know, you think about how your consumers come into your shop and what they need.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And then
that's
like
how
you
I
said, oh, go ahead.
that's where I, most of my 3D printing business actually is the spouse or the partner that comes in with the artist. They're looking
Yeah.
for tubes of paint, and the person that's with them just kind of wanders over to where I'm working on a CAD model or something. So what you
They're like,
doing
"What are
there?
you over there doing? What you doing? Oh,
Yeah,
actually, yeah, I could use a hand with this thing. Can you
yeah,
help me out?" Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I was in here with my partner the other day, and now I need this part for my motorcycle that doesn't exist. Can you create
Right.
that? Can you do can you or you know, we need a pottery stamp to go along with our, you know, we need a
Yeah.
maker's mark while we're in here getting glazes. Or oh gee, we need 20 gallons of glaze. Can we do something about that? And yeah, sure, we can do. But you know,
And
that's the
that's
great part.
really,
You know, stopping in a local shop, you never know what we can
Yep.
help you out.
Oh,
I
that's so
I really
cool.
feel like the potters in the area, if Mike is so good about helping with just if you have questions about your kiln,
Yep.
about your pug, like he will do what he can. He's
Yep.
great. I know, and he's looking a little nervous over there because
Right.
I'm offering up his services
Yeah.
again. But
We
yeah,
get those calls a lot too. So, yep,
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
bet.
I know.
yeah.
Well, the thing
It
he's
is.
so good, and he's
Yep.
he comes from his Bachelor of Fine Arts. He was never trained as an engineer. He's
Yep.
just a smart guy. So he doesn't have the same rules as an engineer has. He says, okay, you want to try it? Let's try it. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's figure it out.
True creative problem solving.
Right, exactly. Yep.
I love
He
that.
doesn't have those, yes, preconceived things that his teacher told him once that he couldn't do that. So he's not going to even try.
More to the point, I've come through the education that I've come through has been by massive amounts of reading to do the learning curve to function as a ceramic engineer. And so now I'm reading books that those folks never get to read anymore. They're not in the core curriculum. And so those books from the 50s had a lot of stuff for pottery people. They don't have a very high value for somebody doing fuel cells or fiber optics or things like that, which is in vogue now. So the traditional ceramic is kind of not necessarily looked over, but it's just not focused on as much as it used to be. So when you're looking now, I think potters in general, if you have pottery people out there, just know my message to them. There's a lot more value in learning this stuff than you probably perceive, especially for the traditional ceramic companies out there. They don't have people that are coming in that know the background and have felt the material. They couldn't tell you what a kaolin is from a silica. They don't know, like they know it on paper, but they
Yeah.
can't feel it, and know it, and see it like you can. So like when Sally talks about doing kilns, winding elements, even that's something, when I came here, I was like, oh,
That's
I
so
get a tool now that I can wind elements on.
Yeah.
That's novel. I was doing it on a rod with, and pairing it up. The process for anybody out there is really similar to jewelry making or other processes. You're just winding a coil, and once you know how to wind a coil, there's some simple jigs that they have out there for patterns on the internet, and you're in business, and you can rewind your whole kiln if you want to. Doesn't save you much money though, just to advertise, but if you have special wire that you want, that can save you a little bit. So anyway, yeah, just weird off the wall stuff. We've gotten into soap making. We've done
we've
a
done a
little bit.
lot.
We're
We've
so
lived a lot of
we bounced
lives.
around enough that I think, like Sally said, when we tell you we can tell you what didn't work for us, we sure can tell you a lot of things that didn't work, and we've had some things that did work over our years, and that we're certainly happy to tell you about some of the stuff that worked for us. And we don't prescribe or tell, we don't claim to be, aficionados or the experts in anything, but we know a little bit about a little bit of stuff. So
I love
anyway.
that. And I think just experience alone can be so helpful. Our ceramic studio coordinator here, her name is Annie, and we have been joking lately that she's a kiln wizard because, once you've done that, she's been in her role for about a year and a half, and she had done it before that. But when you start firing as much as we fire here, and you have to really keep up with changing those things out and troubleshooting things, she's like, "Oh yeah, first time I did it, I was so nervous. Now it's like lickety split."
Yep.
She's got that
Yep.
relay replaced and it's back up
Well,
and
and once you
firing
know
and
you can, and
yeah,
sometimes it just takes a person to say, you can do
you
this.
can do
And
this.
Mike's
Yep.
really good at saying, you can do this.
Yeah, you
It's
can
not
figure it out.
beyond you. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
one of those things you just need somebody to maybe walk you through it or tell you what not to do. And
Just
then,
support you a little bit, right?
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Make sure that all the panels and fuses are off, and then
Yes,
can see that you're really never going to get zapped. It's
exactly.
going to be okay. We're going to
Yep.
make it through.
You're
And
not going
I
to
don't
burn the
need,
house down.
yep, I
Yeah.
don't need the one holding the screwdriver. You got this.
Yep,
I assure you, you can do it. So
exactly. Oh, I love
you,
that.
yeah, I mean, even friends with, fiber and things, just have the right protective equipment. The worst thing that happens is you poke a hole through the fiber and we have to
Yep.
fix it. It's not going to be the end of the world. We'll
Nope.
get through it, and you'll make a kiln that'll work.
Yep.
Is it going to be the most airtight, most efficient thing in the world? Not every time, but you learn. So
I was just saying to somebody, actually, literally yesterday, I said, "Oh, let's cancel this meeting till you have this thing because I'm not going to teach you how to do it till you can get your hands in there and actually try it." And I
yep,
think, I don't know if it's an artist thing or an everybody thing, but maybe for me, I feel like if I can't get my hands on something or actually experience it and do it, I don't retain it. And so
yep.
it's probably the best way to learn those kilns and those kind of scarier things is to just get your hands in there and go for it.
Yeah, my professor told me a story when I first started that kind of took the fear out of me. He said, I faked my way into grad school. And I said, how's that? And he said, I didn't even know what a kiln was. When they walked me through the studio, they said it was in reduction. I said, hmm. And they said, can you smell it? And I said, sure. And they walked me up to the spy hole and they said, what? And he said, I walked up to the spy hole and I just pulled the top brick out, and there went the bottom half of my beard. And that was how I knew what reduction, the first time I knew what reduction really meant. And so I take stories like that. He had dozens of stories like that, the romanticism of clay. And, I long to be that person for somebody to be like, this is the romantic setting of, this is what draws you to this medium. This is why you do it, as opposed to photography or painting or drawing or printmaking or anything. It's like this is the visceral nature, or this is the heat, this is the passion of that medium. And if I can pass that along while I'm trying to sell you something, I feel like I'm doing something to get you motivated, to get you out the door, to get you making something. So, don't just come in and buy something from me. Have the intent you're going to do something with it.
Right.
While you're
If you need
talking,
that battery charged up, I'll talk to you for an hour and get you going.
I
So,
love before we started at 4 o'clock, Sally asked me what was new around here. And while you're talking about that, next week we are kicking off. We redid our raku classes. And so we have 2 brand new raku kilns on site. They've been doing the like candling and preheating them this past week outside to get them ready to go for the 3 classes starting next week. And it has been super exciting with the propane tanks and the cage. We've got everything in place. We've got everything ready to go. And
When are you doing the firing?
so we will kick off classes next week. They won't fire next week, and then they will fire every week after that. So it'll be Wednesday nights, Friday mornings, and then we have 2 Saturday workshops. So
Nice.
the 6-week classes on Wednesdays and Fridays, they're going to do, I think, 4 different raku techniques over the 6 weeks. So
That's wonderful.
yeah,
That
it's
is
very exciting. And that's the kind of thing here too, is like, how can we keep those potters engaged and excited after they've moved through kind of our regular classes? What is something else we can do? And who doesn't love a good outdoor firing, right?
yep.
especially in the middle of
Even
winter in
thinking of,
Wisconsin.
like, how am I going to do this at home when nothing else around? A microwave kiln,
Yeah.
it's small, but you know what? You can do raku in them.
Yep.
I know that sounds corny, but I got friends that are doing it, and
Yep.
boy, does it turn out! It's a wild couple seconds as opposed to the couple minutes that you have to
Yeah.
wait. It almost makes you impatient for a raku kiln at that point, because if I can pop it in the microwave in 3 minutes and
Yep.
raku temperature.
Well, and
No,
that
I
was,
think it's wild, the resources that are out, and
yeah.
the time that we live in. It's just 3D print your pot,
Yeah.
take it over to the raku kiln, and once dry, of course,
Yeah,
and then
right.
fire it in a couple minutes, and into the reduction chamber it goes. So yeah, I think that's the type of stuff that gets me excited. Or somebody doing a kiln building project, or somebody doing we want, like, Firefest is always a big thing for me, and the enjoyment of going down there and watching something larger than the scale that most of us usually get to work in. So I think when I was at Kohler, I got involved a lot with the arts and industry for that reason, because it was soul feeding to help people make these giant sculptures. You don't, had an artist that came in and wanted to build an entire Civil War cannon, and in porcelain, and fire that. Now that wasn't successful, but that artist learned a lot, and it was one of those things where it challenges expectations. I don't ever go in and tell you you're not going to be able to do it. Like I said, it can be done. I'm convinced that everything can be done as an art project if you spend enough money and time at it. It can happen. So if you only have 3 months, maybe we're not going to make that happen in that time frame. But I'm at least honest with people to say, I'm not going to you're not going to leave there and think that you're going to create a 6-foot sculpture out of 2 pints of glaze. It's not going to happen, but you will leave there with kind of an idea of what can be done given the time and money that you have. So
You said the phrase soul feeding, and I love that. So I just
yeah,
call that out. That's
well,
gonna
that's a
use
borrowed
that.
term. I won't take credit for any of
Okay.
that. I love that term dearly.
Yeah.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, I'm adopting it.
Yeah, I like latched onto it as soon as you said it. I was like, oh, that is a good one. And it resonates with so many artists. Such a good one. We had Rob Nielsen from Lawrence up here last fall also giving a presentation, and he did an arts and industry thing at Kohler where he casted these huge heads. And I watched, he was showing us videos and photos, and I've never worked that large. I don't have the space to work that large, but it was so inspiring. And it was so, everybody in the room was just like in awe of, oh, this can be done. And people are doing it in Wisconsin, not that far from us. So it's cool to see and to learn what other people are doing and kind of get out of your own little bubble.
And
Yeah.
aren't we lucky to have it? Like, yeah, to be able to have that right here
Yeah.
in
I
Colon.
know that Wisconsin does not fund the arts like the other states do. I know that we're at the bottom of the list. But
I just
despite
saw
that,
that.
yeah, despite that, we have some amazing things going on and amazing artists and people who care. It's good to be a part of a community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we've
I'm
got
such a
about 10 minutes left. Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that I didn't lead you to or ask you about that you really wanted to make sure we touched on today?
I think, well, we have some classes coming up. So we have there's a portrait painting class coming up. I think it's on the website. It's on March 16th, I believe. And then I don't have it on the schedule yet, but there is a watercolor making class. So to make your own watercolor. Ooh, I know.
Those are my
Yeah.
favorite TikTok videos.
Yeah, it's exactly going to be that. So
Love
we're going to
that.
be doing that, and then we're going to do a repeat of the Joe's class. They do a inking techniques class. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So they do some cartoon inking techniques with brush and pen, and so that's going to be more summertime. And we're probably going to add in some just talk days for 3D printing or ceramics, things like that. We're just going to throw some dates in there. So
I love that. I will make sure to put that up on our bulletin board in our newsletter because I know I have rooms full of potters that would love to come talk.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think we will wrap it up here. Unless anybody has any questions who's here left with us live, please feel free to dump those in the chat or unmute. Go for it. We're here.
Yeah.
Give that a couple of minutes. But while people are thinking if they have any questions, I'm going to say thank you. This was wonderful and very inspiring. I am so happy to know a little bit more about you guys. I already have people in mind that I'm going to go talk to, my residents. I have a resident who is a potter who is very into glaze mixing. So Mike, I may be sending him your way. His name is Josh.
Very happy to talk to anybody who wants to talk glaze making. It's one of my favorite things. Clay making is right up there too. If you have anybody doing that, my big obsession of late has been everything that is like a reactant together. So a lot of times things react in the clay bucket, and it's not always the most pleasant. A lot of people who work with glazes know that things can crystallize out and make your life difficult. Well, what if you could take that and the problem becomes a solution in a way? And what can you do with that technology? And I love looking up, there's lots of sculptures out there on sorrel cements and other things that are right up that alley. If nobody knows what it is, kind of check it out and some of the art that people are doing with it. It's amazing stuff. We don't sell any supplies for that in Ampersand. It's just my own private little obsession. But it's you can paint on it. You can do all sorts of stuff and never need a kiln. It's kind of amazing. So
that is awesome.
And I will warn you, if you're going to come out and Mike is here, be prepared to talk for a really long time because he really is passionate about this stuff. So he will give you all of the information. He doesn't want you to leave without it. So
I love that. I can feel that passion just through the screen. So thank you for sharing with me tonight. It's been wonderful. Well, we will get this edited and get it posted on our social media. We'll make sure to tag you guys in it and feel free to share it. And we'll go from there.
So much. And
thank you so much.
Doing what you're doing, send us those
new brochures.
Pamphlets. Yep, the new brochures. We'll be able to get those out to people. So if you're in the area, you can stop in here and grab some. So all right. Thank you.
We love
Have a good night.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Bye.